Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing. It is Wednesday, the 21st of May. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning for the first time this week by Chris Jack. How goes it, Chris?
All good. How's yourself? Long time no see.
Yes. When was the last time we were on? I think.
I think it was. We don't usually go that long without speaking to each other on the video. So nice to see you again.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are plenty of people that are tuning in that are happy that you're on the video as well, Chris, because we're all at tenterhooks with regards to the managerial search and what's happening. Before we get stuck into that, quick word for our podcast sponsors, S1 Jobs. If you're looking to upgrade, hand in your transfer request and upload your CV today to S1 Jobs. There are thousands of jobs across Glasgow, Edinburgh and the surrounding areas. You'll find the one at S1 Jobs. Right, plenty to get stuck into. We'll talk about the 6 departures from the club player-wise yesterday that was confirmed. But the managerial merry-go-round, speculation and noise has certainly been ramped up ever since the news that Barry Ferguson had departed the club on Sunday evening when Rangers put out that statement. The focus now turns to who will be taking over. There's no question, there's a lot of noise around Steven Gerrard, Chris, and a potential return for him. As we touched on yesterday when Joshua was on, I think Rangers have been speaking to a number of candidates. But where are we at this point in time?
I think in terms of a time scale, we're still looking towards the end of the week. As you say, there has been a lot of noise. There's a lot of, I think if I had £1 for every time someone has asked me who the manager will be, or £1 for every WhatsApp I've received over the last couple of months, I'd be sitting alongside Andrew Cavarett in the director's box next season, having invested in a transfer kitty. It's still looking like towards the end of the week where a decision will be reached. People will know the names that are doing the rounds. People will know, or people will have their opinions on it. And again, been really interesting just to watch some of the online debate and speaking to people over the last few days. There is no clear favourite, even amongst the three that have been spoken about most. There's no clear favourite. There's not one candidate that the Rangers fans seem to be getting behind. Last time it was 50-50 between Muscat and Clement. The time before that, Beale was a fairly accepted appointment that also turned sour quite quickly. Before that, there seemed to be a real kind of groundswell of opinion behind Gio, and people were happy with that one. So I don't think there's a candidate that everyone is saying go and get him and everything will be okay. They're different styles of managers, they're different styles of coaches. They could all potentially take Rangers in very different ways. But certainly timescale wise, when we know that the dates that Rangers are working to in terms of squad being back pre-season, in terms of European fixtures, in terms of the new Premiership campaign, and there's obviously so much work being done on this squad. They really need to be getting cracking on it. Barry Ferguson made that point himself over the last couple of weeks. So time is of the essence. It's not quite against Rangers. It's not a case of they have to just jump in and do something for the sake of it, just to stop people talking about it. They have to get this one right, and they have to be sure that whatever of those three candidates, they are completely happy with what they can bring to the table.
Yep. Pray for your phone is what I say. I can only imagine that it would be red hot in the last few days. I love this. A few people getting in touch. Brian Moore says, Chris, blink twice if it's Gerrard. A lot of people want to know one way or another. But as you said, Rangers have been pretty tight-lipped over this. Been getting information from out with the guys, I guess, that are making the decision on this one. And will be intriguing which way Rangers go down, whether it will be someone from outside the club or someone that has been involved before. And Steven Gerrard, of course, is someone who has won the league before, Chris. Lots of comments coming in on that. Seen reports, various reports, all speculation, of course. Could you see that happening?
I think when you get to this stage, anything is possible. There seemed to be a real momentum behind Steven Gerrard over the last 48 hours or so. There has been a wee bit of momentum behind Russell Martin as well. The momentum seems to have fallen away a wee bit, certainly in terms of the online chatter, in terms of Davide Ancelotti. But as far as we understand it, Ancelotti is still very much in this process. He's very much invested in this process. He would like to be the next Rangers manager. Whether he will get a chance to be Rangers manager or not, we will find out over the coming days, as outlined there. This timescale of the end of the week. I heard nothing over the last couple of days to put us off that being the key timescales that we're working to. But Ancelotti still fancies his chances of this job. So that would give you a short list of 3. There's no other names that have been given any real kind of traction or have built any real momentum. No. There's a lot of talk about Marco Rose a few weeks ago. Sean Dyche, was mentioned. Barry still believed that he was in with a chance right up until a few days ago. There's a lot of other names that have been bandied around. We've spoken a lot about the bookies list and the kind of odds changing over the last few weeks, but those 3, they are the ones. They're the names that's on everyone's lips right now. They're the names that you're getting the most traction out of. Say it did seem that there was a bit more momentum behind Gerrard and Russell Martin, but Ancelotti does still see himself in this process and does still want to be a Rangers manager.
Interesting. I know that I've seen certainly on social media there is a groundswell of support for a Steven Gerrard return from some. There are others like me that are a bit apprehensive at the potential of that happening. I base that on the fact that since leaving Rangers, he's had poor spells at Aston Villa and Al Ettifaq. I'm worried that if Rangers do go down the Gerrard route, are they getting Steven Gerrard that they brought in back in 2018? Who's going to support him in the coaching setup? Does he still have the hunger to go and do it again? Would be my concern with that. Would you go along with that, Chris? I think Ancelotti represents new era, new guy for me, and I get the risk associated with that, given that he's not been a head coach before. But if I was to choose between the pair of them, I would edge towards Ancelotti, I've got to admit, and I know there'll be people shouting at their screens or wherever they're watching or listening to us. But if I was making the call, that's the route I would go down.
I think back to the video that we were on with Josh the kind of morning after the night before when the Ancelotti news broke. Was that last Monday? I think we were on. Yeah. And we spoke a lot then about the potential structure and how that appointment would work in the grand scheme of things. Now, we outlined that day it would be more of a head coach appointment rather than the traditional what we perceive as a Rangers manager. And I think if you look at the 3 options, there's 3 quite different options in there. Now, Gerrard is your Rangers manager. Ancelotti is very much your Rangers head coach, and Russell Martin potentially sits somewhere in the middle. So it's not a case of the guys that are making this decision. They've got three candidates who are roughly the same, and it's then a case of let's just go and pick the best one. There's a contrast in styles for me there. You look at what Gerrard would bring and what he has brought to the club previously. That's very different from how we believe Ancelotti would operate and what his skill set is. Steven Gerrard said himself that he built a staff round about him to fill in his knowledge gaps on the training ground. He was more your leader. He was more your statesman. He was more your motivator. That's not what Ancelotti will bring. His strengths are on the grass. His strengths are on putting together training sessions and being tactically aware and having done so at such a high level. So there's so many different parts of this debate. So people are looking at names and say, "Well, I'd rather have Gerrard. I'd rather have Ancelotti." I don't see a huge amount of support for Russell Martin, that has to be said.
Well,
but
I know. I think that's basically
a
disastrous loan spell, Chris, more than anything else. But again, I get the point. I think it just screams Mark Warburton for me, a Martin appointment. No disrespect to the guy. I think he'll get a decent job. I know he's been heavily linked to the Leicester gig. Would it work at Rangers? I'm not so sure.
And I think that's, if you look at it from who's going to be the easiest sell from the club's perspective, because as I outlined earlier on, there is no outstanding candidate here. There's no one that the majority seem to be throwing their weight behind. It's going to take a bit of a sell. The club are going to have to present the manager in the right way and say, this is what we believe he can bring. This is why we've gone down this road. This is the style that we want of this team. This is how we're going to rebuild this football club. They're going to have to sell it. I think Russell Martin is a very tricky sell for them. Obviously had that unsuccessful loan up here a few years ago. That will naturally come into people's thinking that they don't have great memories of Russell Martin. They might not have great memories of Russell Martin, the Scotland defender, either. So I think he would probably be the hardest sell. I think Gerrard and Ancelotti, for different reasons, are potentially an easier sell. Now, whether that comes into the board's thinking or the new board's thinking at present, time will tell. They will just, I would think they will say, this is the best man. This is the way that we want to play. This is the qualities that we're looking for. Let's just go for that candidate. They might not be worried about the public fallout, but if they are not taking it into consideration, being swayed by it, but if they are looking for, well, how's certain names being perceived amongst the Rangers fans, it doesn't take long on a bit of social media or on this show just to see there are really contrasting opinions on a number of these candidates.
There is. I'm still annoyed that Russell Martin got the nod over Bruno Alves in games for Rangers when he was up here on loan. For the life of me, I don't understand what Graham Murty was thinking with regards to that, but I won't hold it against Murty, Graham. Where is he now, incidentally, Graham Murty? Is it down at Sunderland or something like that? Just to sort of deviate slightly from the chat here.
I'm sure he went to Sunderland on, is it like a loans manager type role?
Yeah.
Definitely got a job down south in that academy type role. Can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm currently on LinkedIn, so just give me 2 minutes. I'll be able to tell you. I did actually
I'll pad out whilst you Google away there.
Right. He is officially at Sunderland, but we're right. According to his LinkedIn, he is the lead PDP coach and has been since October 2022. So there we go. For those of you who have been wondering what Graham Murty is up to, who said this show always follows a script.
Yeah, listen, Bruno Alves was nearing the end of his career, but Bruno Alves over Russell Martin any day of the week. But it's all about opinions, of course. Right, okay, that is it. The latest on the managerial front. Listen, folks, if there's anything that we hear, we'll be on it. Chris has been busy scurrying away over the last good couple of weeks, probably on this one. Yeah. He is also hoping for some conclusion to this so we can talk about something else. But if there's anything breaking, any developments with regards to that, make sure you're not only subscribed to the channel here, but also on the website as well. And we'll bring you any news that we hear as soon as we possibly can. Right, moving on from that, and interestingly, well, not interestingly, I guess, we talked yesterday about Leon Balogun departing. He posted a pretty emotional Instagram message. He's not been kept on at Rangers following the end of his contract. Now, other players have also been let go upon the expiry of their contracts, namely Yanis Hadji, Tom Lawrence, and the loan guys. Václav Černy's returned to Wolfsburg, and Nerecio Cashinwiro and Rafael Fernandez are also heading back to Feyenoord and Lille, respectively. Bit disappointed on Cashinwiro, I've got to say. If Rangers can try and thrash out another loan deal with Feyenoord, I think I would be all over that. I like what I've seen with regards to him. Fernandez, forgettable, let's be honest. Just don't understand that loan signing whatsoever. Yanis, incidentally, posted on his Instagram yesterday. This is what you had to say, folks. My time at Rangers has come to an end. I want to thank everyone who made it unforgettable. To the staff, players, and everyone behind the scenes, thank you for your support and professionalism. To the fans, your passion and loyalty are unmatched. It was an honour to represent this club and play in front of you. Wishing Rangers all the best for the future. With gratitude, Yanis Hadji. Just a shame that he bowed out in the way he did, being hobbled off in that Old Firm game, Chris. Deserved a better send-off than that, did Yanis. But in terms of the players that have departed, no real surprises there.
No, and they will be the first ones of many. It's going to be a very busy summer at Ibrox. A lot of ins and outs still to come. Like you, the Fernandes signing was completely pointless. There was no need for Rangers to do that deal. It just smacked of doing something for the sake of it, just to give Clement a body. And within a couple of weeks, it was completely irrelevant, obviously, because he was out the door. Casemiro, I think there's a player there. Injuries, and can Rangers afford to have another guy who has had an injury like that on the books? They've been stung by that over the last few seasons, so I'm not completely surprised that that's not that deal has kind of ended as it has done. Balogun, I know we spoke a few days ago about him. I wouldn't have been that disappointed if he had been given an extra year. Centre half is clearly an area that they're going to have to invest in. Robin Propper will move on. They need to make a decision on Nsiala. Is he going to be part of this first team squad? Is he going to be a guy that perhaps send out on loan to try and get some minutes? Czerny is the lone one that everyone has been talking about. He's the one that everyone was keen to keep, but I think finances will dictate that, and that's not a surprise that Rangers won't go back down that route over the course of the summer. Hadji, disappointed with. I really like him. I think he's got something as a player. He gets it. He understands big football clubs, and I hope he gets to go and play for a big football club again. Whether he will play for a bigger one than Rangers going forward, I probably doubt it. But I think he probably needs a fresh start to go and really establish himself somewhere. And Tom Lawrence, I think that probably the least said on Tom Lawrence, the better. A signing that's just not worked out. Had some good moments, but for the investment, it's just not been a deal that Rangers fans will remember fondly.
Yeah, someone asked us, Curry's has Lawrence made a statement of his departure. Not that I'm aware of, but he might not want to have stole the thunder off Yanis last night. Who knows? But we may get a statement from him in the coming days, I would imagine. I don't think he'll be short of offers as well. I think I can see him. I know he's been linked with a move to Wrexham, which would be a fantastic move, I think, for Tom Lawrence. I can still see him doing the biz in the Championship down south. Czerny, I think, won't be short of offers either. I can see him moving on. I think he's got interest in some of the top 5 leagues, and wish him well wherever he goes. Fernandes, well, who knows what's going to happen to him. Hadji, he's been linked with a move to Germany, of course. There's frequent links back to Turkey to play for his father's old team, Galatasaray. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up. On Leon Balogun, Chris, would you have liked to have seen him stay on for another season, or do you think that's probably a sensible move from the club to release him?
I think only time will tell, and that decision can only be judged once we see what else Rangers do at centre half, and you look at the 4, maybe 5 options that they're going to have. I think there's a lot to like about Balogun. His injury record has become an issue. He's not able to play the number of games that a starting centre half requires. But for someone to come in and play 15 games a season, maybe, I think they could have done a lot worse. He's a great character to have round about the club. He speaks really well. He's got good standards. A lot of respect amongst that squad. So if they go and strengthen that area, spend a bit of money on it, and you look at it at the start of next season and say there's 4 really accomplished centre halves, different profiles, a more experienced one, a guaranteed starter one, someone perhaps in Nsiala that can be coached and improved and potentially sold on, you would say, well, fair enough. it made sense to get rid of Leon Balogun. But he was somebody who was let go a few seasons ago to create a pathway and to create a route for other centre halves to come through. Ultimately, Rangers showed, and he showed, that sometimes there can be no better thing than having a bit of experience and a bit of know-how and being a good guy to have around a bit of squad. So I think he's the one that was maybe the 50-51. I think you would have got a number of people saying just get rid of Tom Lawrence. I think people probably accepted it was time for him to move on. The loan guys we've discussed. I think Balogun was the one that there was a bit of a debate and a bit of a conversation to be had about, but so a couple of us have decided to go in a different direction. We shall see what they then go and do in the transfer market, because they certainly need to improve that area of the team. It's nowhere near good enough. Conceded far too many goals. Conceded too many goals of the same kind of style. Has to improve. So certainly a lot of work to be done in that particular area.
Yep, it's also confirmed yesterday. Birmingham confirmed their retained list, and confirmation that Kieran Dowell and Ben Davies have returned to Rangers following their loan spells. I know that Birmingham are pretty happy with the pair of them. I know Chris Davis, head coach down there, big fan of Kieran Dowell in particular, who had a brilliant time at St Andrews, and the feeling is that they may come back in at least for him. I would be amazed to see those two in Rangers jerseys again, Chris. Even though they've returned from the loan spells at Birmingham, they'll be moving on, as will pretty much every other loan player that's coming back. Matondo, Cifuentes is another one, of course. I expect them all to depart. Oh, and we've just lost Chris. Hopefully we can get him back. Tad, unfortunate there. He has just left the show, so he may be getting a call on the manager situation, folks. Who knows? But yeah, as I touched on there, I think all those loan guys will be heading out the door this summer. We've got Chris back there. Fantastic stuff. I'm not too sure if you heard what I was saying there, Chris, but just talking about Dowell and Davis returning. Even though they've returned from the loan spells, expect them still to depart in the summer. It
wasn't somebody phoning with some transfer news because my phone to crash here, unfortunately. So I can. That's not my excuse. I'm not actually sure what happened there. Small technical issue. These guys, they won't be back in Rangers jerseys. They have no future at this club. I think there's been enough evidence over their respective careers to show that they're not good enough. Just because they have been, also Birmingham put that statement out yesterday, because they're not on that list saying we've already made a bid for X, Y, and Z. Don't think it's don't see that as a negative. They will not be part of this Rangers squad. They'll not be part of this Rangers squad going forward. They've had more than enough chances. They've had more than enough opportunities to show what they can bring to this group, and I think if the new manager decided that Ben Davies was the answer at centre half, questions would be asked straight away. We've seen enough of these guys. It's a bigger issue. It's a problem for Rangers because, once again, there's players within this squad who are on decent money that they have to try and move on. They've almost become forgotten about over the last wee while. I think we've had more updates on the Birmingham boys just because they're just down the road. Also, Rabi Matondo has not had a successful time in Germany at all. What do Rangers do with him? How do you try and find a buyer for him? You're going to get nowhere near back the transfer fee that you invested in him just a couple of seasons ago. Cifuentes is another one. What do you do with him? How do you try and find a buyer for him? So yes, there'll be so much talk about getting players in and how they can go and strengthen this squad. There's a lot of work to be done in terms of getting guys out the door as well.
Yep. I wanted to move on to Nico Raskin. Natalie with a point here. She says, the club interested in offering a new contract to Raskin. We'll get in that shortly, but well done to Nico. He's been retained in the Belgium squad. They've named their squad for their upcoming World Cup qualifiers against North Macedonia and Wales. So he'll play for the Red Devils at the start of June. He's in amongst some esteemed company as well. Like Kevin De Bruyne is in there, Amadou Onana, Yuri Tielemans. You've got Lukaku in there, Trossard, Jeremy Doku. Top squads, and I think Nico will not be out of place. He impressed in his call-up last time out, and I'm sure he'll get game time as well for Belgium. Now, at this point here, he was asked about this after the game on Saturday at Easter Roads about his contract situation. He says, look, I've been enjoying myself this season. It's not so often that you can enjoy yourself in a club. I'm really happy here. I've got 2 more seasons in my contract, so as long as the club wants me, I'll be here, and then we'll see what happens. Listen, I've got no issue with that. The issue I have is we can't have him going into that 2-year spell. Now, he's at peak value now, Chris. I think Rangers should be trying their very best to get this lad tied down, even if it's just a year's extension, just to give him that bit of leeway, just to have him secure for another season in the Rangers jersey.
He is he's an issue, and it's probably typical Rangers to have a good player that's in great form that the fans like, and it's still an issue. You think there's so many issues in this squad, and even the good ones are causing the Rangers fans heartache and a bit of a headache right now. I thought he spoke really well as he always does on Sunday. He said that he's got more levels to find both for club and country. That international recognition is such a huge moment for him. And his value right now, he is more valuable now than he has been at any stage of his Rangers career.
Yep.
Do the club believe that he could be more valuable in 6 months' time or 12 months' time? Perhaps, but only if the contract situation reflects that, and that's why it's such a big call over the course of these next few weeks. It's not the most pressing matter. They don't have to sit down in our first day back pre-season in about 4 weeks' time. They don't have to come back in and say, right, Nico, now what's it going to take? But at some point, they're going to have to sit down and try and find out where his head is at. Because if he wants to stay and he wants to come out himself, he's happy to be here for the coming seasons, then he's the type of guy you can potentially go and build that midfield round, potentially build that team round. If he has any doubts, or if Rangers feel that this is the ideal time to sell him, then whether it's a popular opinion or not amongst the fans, they have to make hard calls right now. We have seen too many players walk out the door for nothing. Clement mentioned it last year with likes of Lundstrom and Barisic going for nothing. Even this year, you wouldn't have got huge money for Tom Lawrence. You wouldn't have got huge money for Yanis Hadji. You will get a big fee for Nico Raskin now. Rangers have been stung with the Morelos and Kent situations. If you're going to talk about this player trading model that it feels like we've been speaking about for so many seasons, if you're going to speak about that and it's going to be the fully functioning part of the club that you need it to be, sometimes you have to sell good players at the wrong time for the team, but the right time for the club. And that's why the Raskin situation is such a difficult one, but such an important one over these next few weeks.
Yep, I hope Rangers can try and get him on an improved deal. Even like I said there, if it's just an extra year extension, just to sort of secure their asset in some regard. It does have previous, of course. The reason Rangers got him on a cut price deal was because he only had a few months left at Standard Liège. So, hopefully they can thrash something out. It's not the only player where his contract is something that needs to be looked at. John Souttar is the other one, of course, who enters his final year now and not been at his best of late. I would, if he's not willing to put pen to paper on a deal, he has to be shipped out, Chris. Yeah.
He spoke, forget ahead of what game it was towards the end of the season, but didn't really provide a huge deal of insight into where those particular discussions were. Again, you're not going to pick up a multi-million pound fee for John Souttar. You also can't allow him to walk out the door for nothing, given given everything that you put into him over the seasons. I think he's still got a part to play within this Rangers squad. Could he be overtaken by a summer recruit? There's every chance if the scouting is right, and if Rangers go and spend a bit of money in the right way. Suter could go from a guy who starts 9 times out of 10 to a guy who is not one of the first names on the team sheet. In that situation, it's up to him to react in the right way and to try and win his place back. Again, it's not the most pressing of issues given everything else that's on the go right now, but it is an issue and it is something that they will have to address. You can't, as soon as you edge closer to January, the chances of an extension that's going to suit Rangers start to fade. So it's definitely something that will be on a rather lengthy to-do list.
Yeah, and we'll wrap up with this. Someone actually mentioned earlier on 22-year anniversary since Porto won the UEFA Cup. Of course, ex-Ranger Nuno Capuccio played a starring role in that. So, well done to them, anyone that celebrates that. But Robert Rankin with the point here, he says, come on the Spurs. Of course, it's the Europa League final this evening. Spurs against Manchester United. It's, win or bust, I think, for both Ruben Amorim or Ange Postecoglou. Even if Ange wins this competition, I'd imagine he'll be heading for pastures new. How do you see it going, Chris?
Two teams who have shown absolutely zero domestically all season, it has to be said. And if you're picking it on Premier League form, it's got 0-0 written all over it. But it's hard to, I think it's a hard one to call. I think there's probably more at stake for Ange. He probably needs the win a wee bit more. I think Amorim could be able to survive a defeat. Ange definitely couldn't. I don't have any strong feelings for either club, to be honest with you. So I'll tune in, I'll watch it. Have a regret that Rangers are not there and that we couldn't quite pull it off. But I don't have any strong feelings for either of them. So I'll watch it as a neutral and see how it unfolds.
Yes, me too. And we'll wrap up with this. Eric with the point. He says, any guesses on what Rangers pre-season looks like or proposed dates? I think Nico touched on this as well in his press conference on Saturday. He said that the players are back 23rd of June, if I'm not mistaken. They will be, I'd imagine that they always do, don't they? Go away for a training camp somewhere, and then there will be friendly matches. But any indication that there's a TAV testimonial, of course, who that will be against and where remains to be seen. I've said before, I think Leeds would be shooting in for James Tavernier. Whether they can get that arranged or not, who knows? But any indication as to who they could play this summer, Chris?
Not many rumours on friendlies doing the rounds, it has to be said. No. They are back, as you outlined. They are back in late June. They are going away for a week in July. But I've asked a couple of times on fixtures and friendlies and that type of thing, and there's nothing. Has been confirmed, or certainly nothing that they want to tell us has been confirmed anyway. So still trying to get to the bottom of what the summer schedule will look at, and most importantly, still trying to get to the bottom of where the press boys get to go with them to whatever venue they end up at.
That is the most important thing, of course. There's comments coming in. Aaron says Leeds, Salzburg in New York, of course, with the Red Bull connection. Who knows? But as ever, keep your eyes peeled on the social media channel, folks, on the YouTube and on the website as well, and we'll let you know as soon as we hear anything. Right, big thank you to Chris as ever, and thank you to you all for tuning into the show. It is much appreciated. If we don't speak to you later on, folks, then enjoy your Wednesday, whatever you are doing, and we'll chat again tomorrow. Bye for now.